the ITF, I think, isn't it? The ITF,
yes.
On the work to extend the life of road assets. There we go. So, Luce, please.
Thank you for the introduction, Steve, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce our work. My French is as good as the English of the former speaker, Mr. Burrier. So I'm doing it in English. Policies to extend the life of road assets. It's the title of this presentation, but also the title of the working group. It's a working title. I'm the chair of the working group, and I see one of the chief authors, Bernard Jacob, is also in the room. The working group started their work in June 2017. We are halfway now, and we hope to finish our work in January 2019. I will present not the final results, but I will present the general framework of our project. Let's see. Our main driver for the project is budget constraints, and we have a specific focus on trucks, the left vehicles, the vehicles on the left one. From a perspective of asset management, trucks are like black boxes crossing our assets, and they have a very bad reputation because they are destroying our road assets. But we think that road assets are also built to pave the way for road freight transport, for mobility in general. And there is a strong relation, and if we understand the way commercial vehicles use our road assets, then we can better have better asset management. And it's not only a matter of understanding, but also putting ourselves in the shoes of transport companies, of logistics companies, and even cooperate with them. Like that. Our aim is to come to policy strategies, and our target group are policy advisors. So this is not an extensive research report we will produce. Our problem definition is, probably you are familiar with this, is that we have to deal with an aging infrastructure, a growing transportation demand, an increasing complexity of mobility and logistics, fast technological and institutional changes, and increasing requirements from society, for example, caused by traffic emissions. But these not only causes challenges to us, but also chances. For example, digitization or monitoring techniques, increasing connecting world will improve also asset management. We need to understand how to slow down the process of deterioration of road assets, and it's not only focused on aging infrastructure, but also networks that faces recent expansions to try to keep them in good shape for a long period of time. Our focus is on 6 topics. 1 and 6 is most closely linked to asset management. It's optimization of vehicle utilization model shift, that's more on logistics. And number 6 is applying a proactive approach to asset management reliability. For example, with regard to 6, you can think of, I have to put on my glasses. If you know how your assets are used by commercial vehicles, you can better estimate the expected lifetime of your assets. Another example, if it comes to the first topic, it's interesting what's going on in Greece. Greece moves to get the principal freight hub of South European, Eastern Europe, and there's a strong need for a radical infrastructure upgrade, and that asks for a system-wide cross-asset approach, because as we know, Greece has severe budget constraints. If we look to 3 and 4, those chapters are more focused on regulations and compliance. For example, in 3, weight and dimensions of trucks is a very sensitive topic, and there is a trade-off. If we improve road transport efficiency, it also can put a heavier load on our road assets. So we are dealing with those kinds of trade-offs. Perhaps geofencing with a controlled access of trucks, that could be enough solution. An interesting discussion that was going on within these chapters was the difference between road consumption and road damage. Because roads are built for road consumption. And damage, that is when trucks are overloaded and damage the road. If we look at chapter 1 and 2, I mean 1 and 5. It's on traffic and logistics, transport and logistics. If we think of logistics, for example, the trip lengths can be reduced, or the vehicle can be better utilized, or we can think of a model shift to other modes like inland waterways or rail. With traffic management, you can think of spreading heavy freight traffic across the network or across within time, for example, by slot management. So these are the chapters we are working on now. And I'm going to go back to that slide, come back to that slide. This is the working group, 17 countries and 22 group members. The countries are all over the world. It's some of Asia, like India and Japan, Australia and New Zealand. South Africa is there, and Mexico. We have a lot of expertises in the group. It is from road asset management and civil engineering to more vehicle engineering and freight and logistics. So it's a very integrated approach. One of the discussions that are ongoing now is that I like to put forward. This is a picture of a bridge that has collapsed, and it's not caused by trucks, of course. But the interesting thing is that Wikipedia has an article listing bridge failures between 1900 and 2018, and only 10 out of 136 road bridges were caused by specific instances of overloading. So the question is, our focus is on road freight transport, on trucks, but does it make sense? How does freight transport influence the lifespan of road assets? Because our target group are policymakers, and if we should convince them to look at trucks as a factor to increase the lifespan of road assets, we should prove that, and preferably by monetarizing the relation between trucks and infrastructure. And if you compare it to other measures you can take, does it make sense to concentrate on trucks, on influencing freight transport? So that is one of the discussions that's going on in our working group. The next steps are that we have a third plenary meeting in South Africa, in Cape Town, at the beginning of June. There the final chapters will be discussed. and we will present our final report at the TOB 2019, January 2019 in Washington in the USA. So please join us at that presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for L.AARTS on the work of her and her group? Bernard, is a question or a comment?
More a comment. Thank you. I want to also insist about the fact that this group has the originality to put together people from the infrastructure and from the heavy vehicle, which is not so common. And recently we had a small seminar organized at the OECD about the effect of abnormal load on existing bridges, which was also co-organized with this group, and it is quite important because there are a lot of debate about weight and dimension of a vehicle in the heavy vehicle community, freight transport and OEMs. There are a lot of debate about infrastructure asset, and this is the topic of this conference, but it's rare to have both community talking to each other. Generally you have the vehicle and transport community, which has the infrastructure should be designed to weight our trucks, and they have to comply with the requirement. And in the other side you have the bridge and road community, which says please limit the heavy vehicle weight and dimension in order to respect our road assets. But it's in fact a dialogue, and we don't know where is the chicken, where is the egg, but that's very important to combine. That's just a comment, but it can open more questions.
Thank you. So we don't know where is the chicken and where is the egg, but we know a lot of eggs are being cracked. Anyway, any final questions? No? Well, thank you very much, L.AARTS, and you've all got your invitation to Washington next January, so see you there. Thank you, Luce. And our final speaker this afternoon is Christophe Boutin.